Highway to the danger zone. Hey guys, it's DT. Welcome back to what we like to call the big unboxing show here on the channel. Basically, I take over the channel and show you guys something cool in a big box. So back in January, I showed you guys the XM Studios Optimus Prime that I got for Christmas. If you guys haven't seen the Optimus Prime video, make sure to check it out. I think it has over 800,000 views. And today we have the STARSCREAM from the same line. They're also coming out with a Megatron, a Bumblebee, a Grimlock, and a Soundwave, and I bought them all. Yes, I have decided to go all in on this line, as they say. There are several different lines that I'm collecting, but none of them really get me as excited as this one. I think this is probably the heaviest XM Studios box to date that I've had to open. So rather than slide this thing down 2 flights of stairs, just like the Optimus Prime, I opened this thing upstairs and carried down the different layers one at a time. The box was so large and awkward, I had to have Jillian help me. So as you can see on the front, we have this nice grid pattern that we got with a lot of the original vintage G1 Transformers. Then on this side, we have the nice Transformers logo. It's got the purple tones in there rather than the red because of course STARSCREAM is a Decepticon. We have the Decepticon logo. And finally over here, we have our little STARSCREAM stat card. I think it's really cool that they have this because back in the day when we got our Transformers toys, it would have this little card on the back of the package, and you would actually need this little red transparent card that you would put over the stats in order to see the different rankings. Okay guys, so here we are looking at the top layer, and already it's barely fitting on the screen. To save some time, I've already unwrapped everything, so here's a look at what you get. So this top layer was actually not very heavy. The bottom layer is where all the weight is, but we do have some very big parts here. We have STARSCREAM's purple cape. We have the jet mode, the F-15 Eagle here. We've got his wings. Just a tremendous amount of detail in there. This is not your typical Transformers action figure. This is basically what Transformers toys would look like if they were real. And I'm not talking Bayformers either. We're talking G1 characters come to life. This is on the back side that you probably won't even see, but look at all that detail in there. So it looks like the Decepticon logos are actually some sort of decal or sticker. Hopefully they stay on a little bit better than the ones from the toys. Those always seem to come off over the years, and the ones that did stay on don't look too hot these days. Then here are the wings for the jets. This is basically what those wings that we just saw transform into. So under the wings, we have these very large external fuel tanks. So just as much detail in these as we get in the STARSCREAM statue. And those connect to this guy right here. And look at, this thing is huge. This thing is roughly 19 inches. Here's a little preview of what we'll see on STARSCREAM. I'm sure they use the same paint for that. Love the little fire and flame effect they have going on here. It's got some weight to it, but it's not overly heavy. We've got some other little wing pieces here. Nice red, white, and blue. Here's another one. Here we have the little stand for the jet. So it doesn't have landing gear. It's actually supposed to look like it's flying. These are the cannons that go on STARSCREAM's arms. And then we have some hand options. Here is one of his right hands, and this one he's actually holding Megatron. I am getting Megatron. It might be a little weird for him to be holding Megatron if he's standing right next to him, but I guess we'll have to see what everything looks like. But right now, it looks pretty good. Then we have an alternate right hand. It's kind of an outstretched hand, very nicely sculpted fingers. Here's the matching left hand. And here is a left hand in a fist. And looks like they got the thumb right on this STARSCREAM. And if you guys remember, that was my main gripe with the Jet Power Optimus Prime. His thumb was tucked into his fist. But this guy's right here is the correct way to make a fist. So here we have the little hexagonal coasters for our transformed mode. And this one, unlike the Optimus Prime one, actually has a key here. And that's for that little riser stand. And it'll keep all three of these together in one piece. Okay, and finally we have our purple cape, and it is fantastic. Look at the texture in there. I've actually never seen a cape with this texture and nice color and sheen. And then on this side, it's a different texture, still very shimmery. That's gonna do it for the top layer. Okay, so we're gonna take this off and we'll get the heavy layer on here. Woo, and here it is. Man, this thing is heavy. I was almost tempted to bring this up on the table piece by piece just because all of it together just weighs a ton. We've got a humongous base. We've got Starscream right here, who is humongous himself. We've got a couple portraits and some very chunky arms. Before we get into that, this is our Starscream plaque. Like I said in my other video, I don't really display these just because some of my statues don't have them, but they are kind of nice to have. And there it is, Starscream. So this one actually has the numbers on it. It says statue 350, card 350. So there's a look at that. Let's just go for it. Let's start with Starscream. So, man, this guy's heavy. He comes pretty much assembled, just missing his head and his arms, but everything else is already one piece, and it is a giant piece at that. Look at that. Man, he just keys in on his left foot. There's a big peg and key down there. This really looks awesome. The pictures that XM had on their website doesn't really do it justice. I mean, the colors are so much more vibrant here than they are in those pictures. And I was still impressed with those pictures, but man, they did a fantastic job here with the paint. You'll get a closer look at that once he's all put together. So he's got a couple different arms. He's got his traditional standard white and blue arms. They don't look like much right now, but we'll get them attached. And then he also comes with the coronation arms. These actually have a little bit of purple and gold. They make him a little bit bulkier. So I'll show you guys those two options. You guys can let me know what you guys think looks better. Here's a look at his standard portrait. This is how he looks on a day-to-day basis. Love all the little markings in his face. His eyes actually light up. His head just pops off like that, just like Optimus. So these are the batteries that we use. I bought a whole box of these when I got Optimus and the Hulkbuster. These are AG13 LR44 1.5 volt. So we've got the batteries in his head, and we just press this button up here. Boom. Stick this back on. That's pretty awesome. All right, and then we've got his coronation portrait, and he's got the cool crown that he gave himself. Same two batteries go in there. What I really love about this portrait is his little grin that he has. Starscream is a very conniving character, and that expression, that little smirk on his face just says it all. We'll do this little piece because this one I can actually lift. It's like a giant finger. Sort of reminds me of a sentinel finger. It's bigger than my hand. So that's gonna get added to this big guy right here. Let's see how heavy this is. Once I get this out, I'm not putting it back in here. All right, whoa. I'm not gonna hold this up long because it is pretty heavy, but look at all that. I'm just gonna put this to the side. And then we've got these pieces that key in. There's some crazy detail in there as well. And then we've got another one. Whoa, and this one is just as heavy. So these three pieces together, just the base alone, weighs a ton. Definitely need a strong shelf or cabinet to put this on. Okay, so that's gonna do it for all the parts. Let's get these pieces out on the table and put this guy together. Okay guys, here he is, XM Studios STARSCREAM. Starscream made his first comic book appearance in this comic book right here, the Transformers #1, back in 1984. This comic actually featured the first appearance of pretty much every original Autobot and Decepticon. Starscream didn't play a huge role in this book, but he did get his own cover in issue number 9. Starscream did play a very important role in the Transformers animated series, and he's probably the most important and well-known of the Decepticon Seekers. I actually didn't own a Starscream toy growing up. I had the other two Seekers, Thundercracker and Skywarp. I thought their color schemes were a little bit cooler, but this guy's role in the series was much more significant. But here we have it. I finally have a Starscream, and this guy is a monster. So like the other pieces in this line, we have a Cybertronian base. We see the same hexagonal pattern that we saw in the Optimus Prime. Inside we have what looks like molten rock, and then we have some machinery going on around. It looks like a big claw has come out of the ground. I'm not really sure what this is supposed to be. So if you were to relate this to the movie, this might be part of Unicron, and Unicron, if you guys don't know, he's basically a Transformer Death Star. But when I think of a 3-clawed Autobot, I think of Omega Supreme. He was the only guy I knew that had a 3-clawed hand, but they were different colors and not quite the same shape. So I'm not really sure what this is, but some big machine is coming out of the ground, and it looks like it's about to grab onto Starscream, but he's about to fly away. And it sort of reminds me of the Sentinel X-Men bases. Very cool design with the robot, all the geometric shapes, and then these large pieces that kind of come up around that almost form like a broken dome shape. I think it frames this piece very nicely. Okay, so moving up to Starscream. Oh man, this guy looks great. So the way XM Studios does Transformers is they take the original G1 idea and they kind of modernize things and make them look a little bit more high-tech and a little bit more how they would look today. I think that's what I like the most about it. They do make some Transformers pieces that look just like the cartoon. However, I'm much more impressed with all the intricacies and details that go into these XM Studios Transformers. This guy doesn't have as many add-on parts as Optimus Prime does, but there's definitely not a shortage of detail. We can see all the little jet parts in his legs, all the mechanical pieces, the line detailing. You can see all the joints, all the little rivets holding on the plates. Crazy, crazy detail. I really like that the white portions are not just white. They've got a nice gradation from gray to white. There are some little gold accents in there as well. Now, when I look back at some of those G1 toys, they do look kind of skinny and plasticky. It's really cool to see this thing really fleshed out. It's got easily recognizable G1 features, and then they put in all these cool modern elements as well. We've got a really shiny hatch on this cockpit. I'm really glad that they painted this or didn't use plastic or something translucent, because I think it would have made it feel a lot more toyish. So we can see all the inner workings of this guy. And then we've got two giant cannons on his arms. And right now he is holding Megatron, which he did in the cartoon. So I'm sure Megatron could actually fire himself, but it was kind of cool to see this giant robot kind of transform, shrink down into a gun, and then his buddy would catch him and then shoot the enemy. They do give us another hand option. It's right here. It's an open palm. So I'll go ahead and switch that out right now. Okay, and there he is with his open palm. It's kind of like, get back, or I've got a spell on you. I think this pose is really cool. I do like the Megatron one, but yeah, if you got Megatron or you don't want to display him with the gun, this is definitely a good option. You can see the big thrusters on the back of his legs, and then he's got this big wing jetpack on his back. I love the portrait. The portrait looks really good. He's got kind of a serious frown. We've got this big purple cape and these other arms, so let's go ahead and switch them out. So to do that, we need to remove his wings. They're attached to his back. So the magnets on this back piece are very strong. So there's a big key right here on his back. On this point right here, there's actually some felt, and that's to catch the inside of the cape. It'll give it a little support and hopefully won't scratch the inner paint. So that just keys in like this. And then we take the wings, and these guys kind of lock the cape in place, and that cape is not going anywhere. So now we'll remove his arms. So he's got these arms with these big purple shoulder pads. That one kind of goes down like that. You can do it with the wings, but it might be easier if you do it without, just so you don't bump anything. All right, and then we can stick his hand in like that. And then finally, we need to give him his crown portrait. And there he goes. And here he is in his coronation attire. This thing looks pretty amazing. One of the best capes, if not the best cape I've ever seen. Just love the paint, love the texture, love the flow of it. Very clean looking. So if you guys are wondering, why does this Transformer have a cape and a crown on? So in the animated series, Starscream always wanted to be the leader of the Decepticons. Of course, that was the title given to Megatron, and Starscream was always kind of second fiddle.
My time will come, Megatron. Never!
So in the Transformers movie, Megatron has this big fight with Optimus Prime. He actually winds up killing Optimus Prime, but Megatron is badly wounded. And instead of trying to save him, Starscream basically kicks him and some other wounded Decepticons out of the ship to make more room, and takes over as leader of the Decepticons. Of course, he's got to have a big coronation ceremony full with trumpeting Constructicons. So he thinks Megatron is dead, but who shows up? Galvatron, who is basically the new and improved Megatron, transformed into Galvatron by Unicron. Just when Starscream is about to assume his role as leader of the Decepticons, Galvatron deals him a single blast, basically turns him to stone and crumbles him into bits of rubble. Later, it's revealed that his spark or life force can never be destroyed. I don't know why that is, but for some reason, Starscream has this ability to never die. His soul is indestructible. So we never really get to see him much in this form, but I think it's fantastic that XM included it with this statue. He did have purple shoulders in that scene. I'm not the biggest fan of it, not because it's not accurate, but it does kind of make it look a little bit blocky. I think it kind of throws the color scheme off just a tad. I think the white goes a lot better with the rest of his body. The shoulder pads are so big that it kind of makes his arms look a little bit skinny. I think these arms fit a little bit better with the statue, not only for the color, but also all the intricacies of the gun and the rest of his arm. Here he is back with his original arms. I think this look, for me, is a lot better. I actually prefer the original look, but you know, they include this awesome cape. I think I have to display it with the cape. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys like the cape? Do you like it without the cape? Do you like these purple shoulders? The cool thing is, if something ever happens to these arms, you always have a backup pair. Same thing with the head. I think I'm gonna display it like that. Maybe this is when he first puts on his cape before he gets his little arm upgrade. And if that wasn't enough, we also get the alt mode. So here is the F-15 Eagle alt mode. Looks fantastic, and this thing is huge. I wasn't expecting something this big. When we got the Optimus Prime truck, that was a pretty substantial piece as well, but this thing is no joke. It mounts onto this stand with a single peg. Once it goes on, it's sort of at an angle, so it kind of looks like the plane is flying off to the side. You can kind of rotate it a little bit as well. Personally, I like to take it off and fly it around, you know. That's what you do with these things. You fly them around. Transformers! This thing could be just like a model plane, but we can see a lot of the corresponding parts. We've got the same paint used for the cockpit, and then a lot of the same line details that we see in the robot form. So here we have the little hexagonal coasters, and they're all joined together by this base, which keys into the center of each one. Now, on mine, the fit is not perfect. There's a little gap right here. I'm not sure if that was an issue with this stand being a little bit off. I don't think people are gonna be noticing the base all that much when it comes to this. I do like that it's all kind of stuck together, unlike the Optimus Prime where you can separate them fairly easily. And then we've got the light up features. Optimus Prime had a ton of light up features. His jetpack lit up, his chest lit up, his eyes lit up, but on this guy, it's just his eyes. And you know, I'm okay with that. Light up features are kind of an extra bonus, something that I don't think a statue should rely on, unless it's like a power that's crucial to the character. All right guys, so that was a look at XM Studios STARSCREAM. Stay tuned, we've got Megatron coming up. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure to check out and subscribe to my other channel, DT's Geek Show, for more collectibles and comic book content. I'm gonna be showing you guys some of my old Transformers toys on there as well, so make sure to check it out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.